Okay, hi, I'm here to demo to you the present state of the app we've been developing as part of the course GC02 Apps Design as a module of the UCL Masters in Computer Science. We are Group 14, and we consist of Alessandro, Fael, Garcia, Alexander Howells, who is speaking, and Wahidur Rahman. Our app is called the Habit Cookbook, and it was developed for a client who is a researcher in the UCL Interaction Center. So I'll give you a little bit of background about the app before we look inside. Of course, a more extensive discussion can be found in our tech and HCI reports if that's of interest. So the client conducts research into the area known as habit formation, and in particular she's looking at whether technology can be used beneficially to promote the formation of habits. So this app was developed in order to aid with her research. She wants to conduct a study in which the app will be distributed to a number of test subjects, and she will measure whether it helps them to form a habit which she instructs them to do so. As a subset of her research, she's looking at medication adherence in particular. I believe the study will be into whether they can form a habit of taking a vitamin C supplement. And you'll also notice that within the app, as per her instructions, we've hard-coded it in such that the word, say, task, is represented as medication. Though, of course, this could be made more general later on. Now, what this app is better defined in terms of what it isn't. It's not a reminder app. A reminder app sends a reminder to the user at a particular time to remind them to perform a certain task, or take medication. The problem with this is that it can cause the user to develop a dependency on the app, such that they will only remember to perform their task, take their medication, when the app reminds them to do so, and this can hardly be called a habit. A habit is something which you perform automatically. You shouldn't have to think about it. It's just part of your daily routine. Indeed, a good way to look at it is called a routine, which we do so. So, for example, I always eat breakfast at 9 AM, say, and I don't have to think about that. I do that every day. So, the app implements something called contextual habit formation. This is what makes it a habit formation app, not a reminder app. The contextual habit formation is the idea that one can form habits by associating new tasks, which you want to turn into a habit, with a previously existing habit or routine. So, say that I do always take breakfast at 9 AM. If I were to associate the taking of vitamin C supplement with eating breakfast at 9 AM, the idea is that when I eat breakfast, I will automatically remember to take the supplement, and over time that will become an entrenched part of my day, just as eating breakfast is, and the habit can be said to be formed. So the app goes on this principle. We ask the user to set up a routine, and give it a time of day in which they perform that routine, and then we ask them to associate a medication with that routine. The app then doesn't remind them to do it. Rather, after that routine has finished, it asks them whether they did it. Did you take your vitamin C supplement with breakfast? And the user can either say yes or no, obviously, and then analytics of the user's responses are sent to the client so that she can see a record of whether they've been successfully performing this association or not. Over time, as well, the user will be able to see a log of their interaction with the app, and say the user doesn't take their medication for 7 days, the app will suggest to them, well, perhaps your routine's not working, maybe you should pick a different one. So this is the hope, that this will help the user form a habit in this respect. So, without further ado, let's have a look inside the app. Unfortunately, we're going to have to be using an emulator today, as that's the simplest way to record it. So this is going to be a little bit slower than using it on the phone, and I have to use a mouse, so I apologise for that. So this is the app icon here. I put it on the favourite screen for easy access, so click on this, it should open up. Great. Okay, so this is the home screen. As we see, on first entering, you've no routine set up. It prompts you to set some up by clicking the Add New Routine button below. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, and before I go any further here, I should note that because this is a native Android app, we can also use the back button. So we don't need to code in a second button, we can use this in lieu of that. So if I click the back button, it will, with a lag due to the emulator, take me back to the home screen. Okay, but let's go back to adding in your routine, obviously. Okay, and yes, unfortunately you can't hear or see it here, but if you were to compile this and use it on the phone, the button presses are instantaneous. Essentially, there is very, very little delay between them, so it's very quick and responsive. And unfortunately you can't hear it, but there's also audio feedback from clicking buttons. You get a little click sound. So, yes, you'll have to see that when you actually use the final app. Okay, so in the routine setup, it asks us in the top here to enter the name of a routine. So let's go with breakfast, as was the previous example. Okay, and it asks you to enter a start time and end time. Now, as a matter of fact, the start time is superfluous. The notification which asks the user to acknowledge whether they've taken the medication or not is actually fired based on the end time. But it doesn't make much sense to ask a user just to enter the end time of when they take breakfast. We think it'll allow them to conceptualize the routine a little better if you ask a start and end and avoid ambiguity. So let's enter a start time for breakfast. Let's say we take it at 9 AM. Okay. Let's also enter an end time. Okay, we're gonna have to say that breakfast takes a very long time for this person. Let's say that it ends at 4:10. Okay, so our alarm should fire off in just about 3-4 minutes. Okay, let's actually set that back a little bit. Maybe 4:09. Sure. Confirm that. Okay, we come back to this main screen and we can see that this thing here has appeared into list view. And you can add as many of these as you want, and if it overruns the screen, it's a list view which you can click and drag up and down. So the text here has changed to reflect that. Let's click this, and it opens up into a list onto this routine of the medications you can list. So of course there are none at present, so let's go and add a new medication. Although first of all, this pencil here can take you to an edit screen for the routine, where you can change everything's before or delete it, which will also delete associated medications. I'll leave that to confirm that. Okay, let's add a new medication. And here, just put in the one simple field, which you want to call it. So let's add in a vitamin C supplement. Confirm that. We'll see that that has indeed turned up under here. If you click this here, you can remove that. As there's only one field, there's no point having an edit button, just delete it or add a new one in. And you can add as many in here as you want once again, it's another list view. And the notification will ask if you've taken all of them, so let's add in a vitamin D supplement as well. Not spelled that very well at all. Vitamin D. Confirm that. Okay, fantastic, and that turns up this list view here. Okay, so about 4:09, let's go back to the home screen. So have the app open. At about 4:09, we'll get a notification asking us whether we've taken these medications or not. Okay. Unfortunately, the Android SDK implements something called an inexact alarm, which means that it doesn't happen exactly when the time triggers. So, as you can see, it hasn't happened yet, and it is 4:09. This is because the notification may trigger at any time in the next minute, and sometimes even in the minute afterwards. But that's no real trouble. We don't need an exact alarm. It's not a reminder app, and the client doesn't need them to be reminded to the second for her research, so really that will have no effect. The most effect it will have is that we have to wait right now. Okay. There we go. Comes up here. You didn't hear it, but it was actually accompanied with a little sound. I hope it was picked up. I'm not sure if it was. Oh, there's a bit again. It comes up here with the same book icon there, saying routine finished. And there's a little text here saying that. If we click on that, it takes us to a new screen in the app, which asks us whether you took your medication for the routine name, breakfast. and it reminds you what those medications were. And that's very important, because if they've set up a list of, say, 10 medications they need to take at breakfast, then they might well not remember whether they've taken all of, or they might have forgotten one of them. So this is a way of checking whether they've definitely taken all of them. It'll ask you to say yes or no, which will then log in the app. The success, as we said. And then, over time, that will have the effects on the app that I've previously explained. Okay. So before I go, yes, a feature is that these notifications are designed to phase out, and that's a very important part of this app. So the idea is the app does become redundant, so you shouldn't need these notifications over time. And this is done in on the rate of success. So at the moment, and these numbers are very easily editable for the client's needs, we have it down that after 7 successes in a row, the app will stop firing off every day, and will instead fire off every 2 days to ask, did you take it at breakfast or lunch or whatever. Say after 14 successes, it'll start firing every 2 days. And the success is measured running. So every time you click yes, it adds 1 to a counter. Every time you click no, it takes away 1 from the counter. Okay? Unfortunately, I can't demo that to you now because that would involve waiting 72 hours and clicking yes. But another feature, which unfortunately hasn't been managed to be implemented in time for this this submission of reports and videos and the sort, but will be implemented soon as we intend to work with the client past the deadline, is that given a number of failures, let's say the counter reaches -7, for example, the app will come up with a different kind of reminder, which will say, your routine doesn't seem to be working. Maybe taking it at breakfast isn't a good idea. Maybe you should try lunch instead, or say, or pick a different routine. And this is a way of giving feedback to the user that your routine is not working. Will hopefully then allow them to find a routine which works. And it's that trial and error method which will hopefully allow on the user's end to make the app more useful anyway. But as we said, that's sadly not been implemented just yet. But we are going to work with the client from now on. She actually wants us to publish it on the App Store in order to do a beta study where she can get an incredibly large set of results. And as all the analytics are sent via Google Analytics to a client's account, that means that she can gather analytics on the devices wherever they're used in the world. So that's obviously very helpful. The analytics in particular send a log of the success rate of the users, not just the counter, but the increments and decrements to that counter over time, so she can see where, say, success was high and success was low. And there will also be in a similar kind of bit to where the notifications suggest that perhaps you should change routine, there will be a clear log of whether you success over time, which the user can see as well. But again, this was kind of superfluous, so it hasn't been added just yet. But as of right now, this comes up, obviously, and the user is able to click yes or no. So let's say we have taken it, click yes, and it will take us back to our home screen where I'm happy to close the app, and I can wait 24 hours to when it will trigger again tomorrow. And that's all to demonstrate for now, so thank you very much for